From the station working for you, this is WRTV News at 5. Streaming now.
Good evening to you at 5 o'clock. Tonight, a potentially dire situation for thousands of Hoosiers, and the outcome hangs in the balance with lawmakers at the State House.
People and households across the state could find themselves evicted and homeless. And this all centers around a controversial move involving the governor and a bill he vetoed. Tonight, WRTV's Stephanie Wade explains what's at stake, the timeline, and the reason one advocacy group is making moves quickly to help.
We are very concerned that an override of SCA 148 would result in increased evictions and homelessness that would negatively impact Hoosiers' public health.
The Hoosier Housing Needs Coalition is worried. Last legislative session, Governor Eric Holcomb vetoed Bill SCA 148 that would overrule any local city ordinance having to do with landlord-tenant relations, saying it was overly broad and prevented almost any type of local control on issues like evictions.
It would expand the process for expedited evictions, allowing less opportunity for negotiation or voluntary relocation and leading to greater homelessness.
It was the only bill the governor vetoed last year and only the second veto of his entire tenure. But discussions of a potential override by the General Assembly this year could happen with almost no prior notice or opportunity for public discussion.
Before the COVID pandemic was upon us, Indiana had a housing affordability problem. Indiana had an eviction problem.
According to eviction data, Fort Wayne, Indianapolis, and South Bend are all within the top 20 major cities with the highest eviction filing rates. Indianapolis is second only to New York City in the number of court-ordered evictions.
What we have seen over several recent General Assemblies is only one side being heard, the industry, which has resulted in the passage of legislation which has pushed Indiana's housing laws to be overwhelmingly in the landlord's favor.
Over 2 million Hoosiers rent in our state. That's 3 in 10 households statewide. And eviction makes it much more difficult to find quality housing or receive rental assistance, especially for the most vulnerable.
Since March of 2020, there's been a 102% increase in domestic violence deaths compared to the same time last year. And this directly can be attributed to COVID-19 due to an increase in economic stressors, isolation, alcohol consumption, and firearms.
Doctors also say children's well-being relies on stable housing.
Studies have shown that homelessness and housing insecurity increase the risk for medical problems such as ear infections, respiratory infections, and asthma, scabies, and lice. Much of this risk comes from families being forced into transient living situations, homeless shelters.
These are hardworking Hoosiers. These are responsible Hoosiers that had their livelihoods impacted through no fault of their own. During a national health emergency, it's the wrong time to roll back or restrict local rental protections.
Stephanie Wade, WRTV.
You can learn more about how to get involved at housingforhoosiers.org, and that's with the number 4.